Theo, there have been people on the Bird app who have been telling us to not start Kadarius Toney this week. That
They're insane. They're insane.
What?
Like it's almost like two separate fantasy Twitters. Like you can't like Courtland Sutton versus Kadarius Toney is an interesting one.
Right.
I probably am going Courtland Sutton over Toney this week in a normal PPR league. But again, I have pause there. And I think Courtland Sutton's a borderline wide receiver 1 with no Judy. So Toney is, for me, definitely a locked-in wide receiver 2.
Mm-hmm.
All it's going to take is more snaps. The guy had, I believe, 5 targets last week. But if you look at the amount of routes he ran and the amount of snaps he played,
only 40% snaps, only 40%.
It's crazy. So if he goes up and just absorbs the snaps, like I think Toney to me is a locked in wide receiver 2. Now I can make an argument that Toney's ceiling is higher than Courtland Sutton's ceiling this week, but in terms of safety, I'm going Sutton.
457, 2 rush attempts for 33 rushing yards and a touchdown. They are manufacturing touches for the player, the wide receiver who was the number 1 wide receiver last year in juke rate. 67% juke rate. Holy buckets. The dude
and Bradley, the guy with the hammy hop touchdown, it was one of the swaggiest things I've ever seen.
It was beautiful.
It was incredible.
It was like meta. It was like we wanted this to happen. It affirms like all of what we were thinking.
A complete breath of fresh air, a huge weight off your shoulders. That was like the moment the Kadarius Toney managers have been waiting for, and now it's just on. You throw him in the mix with Burks and Watson as like these 3 wide receivers. You really, really want at least one of those guys, if not 2 or 3 of them.
Right now, Kadarius Toney is the wide receiver 26 in the Fantasy Pros actually rankings contest. I have him at 19. I do have Sutton at 13 right now. So to answer the question, I would take Sutton over it. The matchup is just so juicy against Vegas. The Vegas Raiders have given up 2 passing touchdowns and like 220 passing yards and 17 fantasy points to just about every single quarterback this year. And Sutton, with Judy out last week, 11 targets. You can't hate that. And we've already seen, even with Judy in the lineup, there were 3 other games where Sutton had double-digit targets. So wheels up for Sutton. He is the 14th in Fantasy Pros projected points. He's the ECR 12. So actually, I'm a little low on Courtland Sutton, believe it or not, relative to consensus.
No, I've seen him inside the top 10 a couple places. I think that you're close, though. I mean, again, I think that, you as a ranker could kind of speak to this, but it's probably a tier of guys you could go move a couple of spots.
Right. And that was like that. Okay. So I moved Deebo Samuel as the placeholder out, and now he's back to consensus, like it's that type of thing. But nevertheless, Kadarius Toney, solid wide receiver 2 with extremely high upside.